Hi all, welcome to the today's session, which is nothing but introduction to the React JS. So in this topic, I'll be covering like why we need to use React and like what is the main need of using React. Okay, so let me start. What is React and why React? Why should we use React? Why React is used? Okay, so even I have a tutorial for that and features of React. Components, what is component, what is state, and what is props, and what is React prerequisites, and what is the industry trends. So I'm gonna cover these 6 topics in this intro session of React JS. So let's go into the session. What is React? Like, as you think, like, it is not a framework. So React is a JavaScript library. It is used for building the application of the user interfaces for the web as well as for the mobile application. It is used to build the fastest application for website as well as for the mobile applications. It is a lightweight JavaScript library, and the next thing, it is a open source, reusable component based front end library. The main thing which where everyone uses React JS, you can create a reusable components here, and also you can create a front end library reusable UX component for that. And if you see in the model view architecture MVC, the React is only the view. It is not an MVC architecture. It is only a library which has only the view. So this is, as everyone know, the views are responsible for making the app look good and feel. Okay. Did you know that the React JS was created by Jordan Wack, who was a software engineer at the Facebook? Let's see how React works in the real time. Okay, now let us go into an example like of Instagram. Everyone knows that Instagram is completely built by React only. It's entirely built using React. So let us see that example. If you see, this is a React JS. So I think here, if you see, this page is built as a separate components. This is a single page application. If you see in the single page, I will like show you. If you see that search bar is there, so that is a separate component, reusable component. And if you see this profile description, that is a separate reusable component. And if you see the stories, that story is a separate reusable component. And post, a single post is a component. And with the help of that single post, if you see multiple post list component is created. So if you see here, this single page is built up into 5 different components. Those 5 are reusable components, which is search component, and which is a profile description component, and which is stories component, and which is a post list component. If you see in this post list component, there is an other component which is single post component. With the single post component, you can map the entire data, so you can create a post list component with help of that. So this is the main feature of why we are using React. We can build a single page into different reusable components, and even build, like, if you see, we are like, now we have broken up into 5 different components. Still, how the performance and how those things are handled in the React, let us see while going deep into the session. Okay, now as I explained, now if you see, the React will divide the UI into multiple components, so which is easier to debug also when you face some issues, or like any properties or any function issues there. It will be very easy to debug, because if you see, like, you have a multiple reusable components over here which has its own properties and its own functions. Okay, why React? As everyone knows that, if even if you see, even in the Angular application also, you can create a reusable component. You can create a reusable component and you can use it over there. But still, why React? Let us see into this. If you see, React is very easy, which will help you to create a dynamic web application, the first thing. And the next thing is, it will help you in creating the performance enhancement. Of course, the performance will be very high. And reusable components, as we discussed now in the previous slide, we have seen how we have splitted a single page into like 5 different components, which is a reusable component. And unidirectional data flow, the data flow will be like one way only. So it is very easy to maintain the data in the application. If you see, like in the initial thing, if it is a smaller application with a smaller kind of tree structure, it is okay. But when it is like a complex kind of tree structure, like Amazon, if you take a Amazon, it's like a complex kind of tree structures. Because if you see there, there is entire sections like mobiles, like electronics, and everything, card payment, everything is handled. The data, if the data is handled in one way, it is easy. Because if the data is handled in multi-way direction, then there might be a coaction, which will create a coaction in the data flow. And small learning curve in React, it's easy to learn for you. React like it's a library, and you can play with it easily with that library. And it also can be used for mobile apps. As everyone, I have to tell that, like the React is used for both web and app also. If you see, React native is used for creating the mobile apps, which is native components. You can create a native components to create mobile app with help of the React. And there is a dedicated tools, of course, for easy debugging in the React. Okay, now let us jump into what are the features of React. Okay, if you see Java, like it is a JavaScript syntax extension. React is nothing but a JavaScript syntax extension. So JS is a syntax extension to JavaScript. So like here in the React, if you see, JSX is used to describe the React user interface. It will describe like how your user interface should look like. By using JSX, what you can do is you can create a HTML structures in the same file that contains the JavaScript code. So wherever the JavaScript code is you're writing, you can write the same HTML over there to make sure your view for your view HTML view. So you can write HTML structure. So by using JSX, so JSX will provide you to write the HTML structure in the React. If you see, the JSX will, the main reason of JSX is it will help you to easier the code to understand, and also it will help you to debug, easy debugging. So it's very simple. JavaScript plus HTML is equals to JavaScript extensions. So here in the React, in a single component, you can use both the JavaScript and also the HTML structure to make sure your view renders perfectly. Okay, so now you got it. So JS is basically a combination of JavaScript and HTML. Okay, okay. So now if you see here, I have put a simple example to this side. If you see, constant simple equals to h1 hello world. So if you see at this basic JSX syntax, how it works, here I have created, and JavaScript, which is like constant, I have created a variable here. And if you see, I have assigned the variable HTML structure to that variable. If here you can see, it is a combination of HTML and also a JavaScript. So this is a simple JSX syntax. Okay, if you see here, it's constant simple is a JavaScript code. As I discussed, constant simple is a JavaScript code. And if you see, this h1 hello world is the HTML code. Correct. So now as you see this, and also if you see, I have given a ternary operator, which is again a part of a JavaScript code. So and by this way, what we have did, we have inserted the HTML into our JavaScript file. Okay, so this is the very basic JSX syntax, or like JSX which I have put as a sample for you all here. Okay, so note that this usage is not mandatory, but this is a good practice. That's it. Even if I don't give this ternary operator also, still this will work. But still, like you should give this, because that is considered as a good practice. But this is not mandatory to use while creating a JSX thing. So now if you see, this is a combination of JavaScript, and this is a combination of HTML. Sorry, combination of JavaScript and HTML. Okay, next. Let's go into features of React. And here comes the main part, like why React? Why React? Like because if you see, as I told in the previous thing only, even you can achieve like reusable components with Angular as well. Many front-end libraries are there. You can achieve the reusable components over there also. But why React? The main concept comes here. Why React? The performance. Like the main thing is, if you see, the React will have a virtual DOM. Okay, what is virtual DOM? Let's see a deep into that. So as you see, the React will keep a lightweight representation of the real DOM in the memory, and that is known as virtual DOM. So what it will do, like if you see when you render your application, what it will do, it will keep your DOM, entire DOM in the memory. So that is called as virtual DOM. That is nothing but a virtual DOM. It will keep the entire DOM elements in the memory. So what is the use by keeping the DOM element? Correct. If you see here, this will create, for example, you will be having an HTML file, head, body, and title, h reference, link, anchor tag. Consider that like you have some HTML structure. So what this DOM will do is, it will treat XML or HTML element as a tree structure. So what it will do, in the tree structure, it will create an tree kind of structure, and each node will be part of, it will represent part of your document. If you see here in the HTML, you have a root element HTML, and you will be having a head, and you will be having a body. So in body, like whatever it will be there, like hey, h1 text, whatever you are rendering in your DOM, everything it will be created as a document tree kind of thing in React. So it will be created, this is nothing but a virtual DOM. Okay, like what is the difference between virtual DOM and the real DOM? Even like even if if consider that like I am rendering some HTML kind of thing in the Angular, so even that also will create a DOM tree kind of structure, and in React it will also create a tree kind of structure. And what is the real difference between the virtual DOM and the real DOM? If you see in the virtual DOM is exact copy of the real DOM. Correct. It will be the exact copy of the real DOM. But there is some difference here. What is the difference? If you see, as we discussed, React gives a lightweight representation of real DOM memory, and that is known as virtual DOM. And manipulating the real DOM is much slower than manipulating virtual DOM. If you see, I'm reading this line again. Manipulating the real DOM is much slower than manipulating virtual DOM, because nothing gets drawn on screen. As the statement is so clear that manipulating real DOM is very slower when manipulating the virtual DOM. Okay, so now consider that like you have some application. I will consider the Facebook application. In the Facebook, if you see there is a like button, or if I hit that like button, if you see, the DOM will change, because the like button has to change the color to blue color, and also the count should increase, the liked count should increase. So if you see, the DOM will change. Correct. So that is nothing but, if the state of an object changes in real DOM, what it will do, when that like when I hit on the like button, the entire component will re-render again, entire page will re-render again when I hit on that particular. But if you see in the scenario, I am just hitting on the like button only. But if you see, the entire Facebook application will re-render in in case of real DOM. But in case of virtual DOM, what it will do, if I hit on the like button, if you see, that will be the particular component, there will be a particular component, so only that particular state will re-render, not the entire page will re-render in virtual DOM. Only that particular thing will re-render, which will improve the performance of the application. Consider that, see, I'm hitting only the like button, but if the entire application re-renders, then the performance issue is down, will get low, right? But in the virtual DOM, if you see, only that particular state will change, particular that like button component only will change. So which will help to create the performance of your application much more. So here comes the main picture of the React, which is nothing but the virtual DOM, and it will re-render only the thing which has got changed. Yeah, if you see that when the state of an object change, virtual DOM changes only that object in the real DOM instead of updating all the objects. Yes. Okay. So now let's see how this works. Okay. So if you see, consider that this is the virtual DOM. This is a tree kind of structure. Consider that like this particular this root the this element and this element has got changed. The value got changed. Consider that the state of these objects have been changed in your DOM. So now what will happen is the state of these objects have changed now. Okay, so now what will do, the virtual DOM will compare to the previous state. Previous state is nothing but like what it will do, if this object, consider that this object value is true and the previous state value is false, it will compare with the previous state value. In the previous state value the value is false, but now the value is true. So what will the React will do, it will compare to the previous state. Let me bring this to the same like button example. Consider that now your some post has a 15 likes. Okay, so now I am hitting on the like button. Now the like button count value will change to 16. In the previous value, if you see, it is 15, but now it has been changed to 16. Correct. So what the virtual DOM will do, it will compare to the previous state, and then only it will tell to React that it will tell to React whether to change the value or not. Consider that like you have come across a scenario something like the previous state value is 15, but you have updated again the same value 15 in the current state also. So in that case it won't change. In that case the it won't change the DOM. It won't tell to React that please change. It won't tell the React like which object have changed, because if you see the previous value is also 15 and the current value is also 15. But if the value has changed, it will compare. Okay, the current value is 16 and the previous value is 15. So it will tell to React that change that some object have changed. So what will do? The DOM will re-render and the updated only the particular that component will be re-rendered. But the same case in the real DOM, what it will do, consider that only the changed object gets updated in the real DOM. Okay, so now let us come to the performance. If you see, React uses the virtual DOM, as I discussed about the virtual DOM, which makes the web application fast. One thing, and the next thing is, if you see in the React, a complex user interface, as we discussed, let's take the same example of the Instagram. If you see, it has been broken down into individual components, so that what will happen, consider that like you're working on some Instagram. So like consider that there are like 15 team members, 15 teams. So if you see, like you can break the application into 15 different components, and like each component can be handled by a separate team, so which will help the multiple users can work on individual components simultaneously, so there won't be dependent of each other component. So like at a time, like different multiple users can work on individual different components. So that is the biggest thing. Okay, so now the other feature is one-way data binding. Actually, if you see, the React's one-way data binding is keeping everything and the modular and fast. So a unidirectional data flow means when designing a React app, you often nest child components with the parent components. So this is nothing but like I have put here about the unidirectional data flow. Okay, so now mutation of data is done via actions. So if you see like how to mutate the data in the React, if you see, it is done via actions. So like some action will be triggered, so based on that action the value will be updated in the store. The new data will get updated in the store, and if you see that new data can be re-rendered themselves in the view, and the updated value can be shown in the view. So this is simple uh, concept like how the data is getting mutated. And if you see, this is a unidirectional data flow. So what will happen, if some action is being triggered and if the new values has been got updated, the view will automatically re-render themselves using the new data from the store. So you don't have to worry about that, like whether like I have to re-render my view. Based on the value changes, it will re-render itself. And also here there is some case, like consider that like you are triggering some action. Okay, consider that the previous value was 16. Okay, like the like button value was 16, and in the store, if you see in the current store the value is 16, but by triggering the action, if you are trying to update the same 16 value again, the view won't re-render, because what will happen, it won't the virtual DOM won't tell the React that the object has been changed, because if you see the value is 16 only, the current value also updating 16. But consider that in your store you have some value called 16, but by the action you're sending some value like 17, then it will let to know the React view that like, okay, the object has been changed. So what will do, it will re-render itself the particular object which has been changed, it will re-render themselves by taking the new data from the store. Okay, so this is a simple like mutation of how mutation of data will happen in the React with unidirectional flow. Okay, let us talk about the extensions. So if you see, there are many extensions for the React, like goes beyond the simple UI for complex complete application architecture support. So there is many extensions for your React. It also provides server-side rendering as well, and it supports a mobile app development. And also, it can be extended with Flux and Redux, among others. Flux and Redux is like the tool. It is a tool. It is a state management tool to maintain your state in the entire application. When you go for a complex tree kind of structure, you will be using Redux. When your application has a complex tree kind of architecture, so there the Redux will come into picture, and I will like talk a bit about what is Redux, the basics. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of the React libraries or extensions. As I told, like you can extend how many libraries you want with React, and you can use it. So the first thing is React Native. So React Native will help you to build the mobile apps using only JavaScript. As I told, like in the React Native, you can use native components to create the separate components, and you can create the mobile app with the use of this. And if you see, the React Native is a real mobile app, and it is not a web app. It is a real mobile app only. And you can use this for Android app. You can create an Android app using this. And this is not just a web app running on a mobile. If you see, you can create a web app and you can just put it for the mobile view. And this is not that kind of thing. It is a real mobile app. And you can also upload this your React Native app in Play Store as well. So it's like a real mobile app. If you see, the 1,000 apps are using React Native apps, from best established Fortune 500 companies to hot new startups. Some of the real React Native apps, which is in the current trending, is Facebook. Everyone is using Facebook, Instagram, Skype, and also the Pinterest and this player. So if you see, every app, many apps are created using React Native apps. Okay, so now let us talk about the React extensions. If you see, Flux is a React extensions. So Flux is the application architecture that Facebook uses for building web applications. So with help of this, what this Facebook is using is like it is built using the Flux. It's the architecture. It's nothing but the architecture. If you see, there is a four kind of things, which is action, dispatcher, store, view. If you see, this is a unidirectional flow. If you see from the view, let us go from here. From the view, if you see, I'll trigger an action. So what this action will do, this action, consider that I'm updating some value via this action. So this action will help you to uh, I'll dispatching an action. So this action will help you to store the updated value in the store. So again, the store will give the value to the view. So like as we discussed in the previous flow itself, I have told you like an action will be triggered. So that action will help you to save the value in the store, and the updated value, if the store in the store, if the current value has been updated, then it will automatically tell to the view that some value has been changed, and it will help to re-render that particular object or particular component. So this is that unidirectional flow, which is nothing but the Flux. So if you see, Flux implements unidirectional flow, which makes it easier to deduce what's going on. Since it is a unidirectional flow, even some error or if something has happened, it will be easy for you to debug. But if I'm creating like multi-directional flow, and if I'm creating some complex architecture, then it will be like very difficult for you to debug it. But the React will resolve that issue, because if you see, it is a unidirectional data flow and it is easy for you to debug. Okay, so if you see, like in detail, I have put a slide over here. When we trigger an action, the dispatcher will get notified. that some action has been triggered. So if you see, once the dispatcher has dealt with action, the store listening to it get triggered. As I told, the particular action, whatever you're triggering, that action, that particular value has been needs to be updated in the store, right? So this is that point. And the view gets updated when the state of the store changes. As I told before, like if the view value has changed, then only the view will get updated. If the same value is like being again sent, then the view won't get updated. So this, as I discussed, the same thing. So user action, the view sent to the dispatcher to be processed. As I told, the action has to be triggered from the view, as I discussed before. And the next main last feature is debugging. So if you see, the React is very easy to test due to a large developer community, and Facebook even provides a smaller browser extension that makes React debugging faster and easier. If you want to debug the React, there are many smaller browser extensions. So Chrome extensions also there, so which will help you to debug your React application very faster and easier. Okay, so if you see, like there is a reactjs.org. So if you see here, you can find entire documents like where you can refer. They have, the React community has been provided you a document, and like how to go through the each thing and how to start with the React. They have provided entire documents which will be very useful for you. And notice that the small React extension icon at top right and inclusion of React app in the developer tools. Yeah, you can extend the React, and even you can extend the Redux small browser extensions in your developer tools as well, which will help you to debug your code, everything, which will be very easier for you. Okay, so now the last thing is component states and props. So I won't go much into this. I'll just give a basic intro of all these things about the components, state, and properties, which is the main individual features in the React. If you see, the React has three things, which is components, state, and the props. And what is components? The components in the React is used to, as I discussed in the Instagram page, if you see, search is a particular component, and the story will be a single component, and if you see below, the post will be a single particular component, and the profile description will be like a single component. So the each components are nothing but the building blocks of the React application. And if you see, application have multiple components, as I told, like the Instagram itself, that it has 5 different components in that particular page which I displayed. And a component is essentially a piece of user interface. It is like a function that returns a HTML elements. As we discussed that, like we are using JSX, which is a combination of JavaScript and the HTML. So what it will do, like a component is nothing but it will return a HTML file. That's it. It will return a HTML elements. And if you see, it splits the user interface into independent reusable pages that can be processed separately. Yeah, as we discussed that, like we can create a separate individual reusable components, which is nothing but reusable pieces, which makes the user interface to be independent of other components. There is no it is not necessary that it should be dependent on the other component. It's like a individual broken pieces kind of thing. And let's take a quick overview of a component structure over here. So I have put a sample example over here. This is a simple component structure. If you see here I have created a class component, which class, the component name is simple. And if you see here, like I have a render over here, and I have just returned a simple HTML structure. As you could see here, this component is returning the HTML structure. So this is a basic component which has been implemented using a JavaScript class. And if you see here, it is having a state variable. I have declared a state variable, and I have just and here if you see, there is a render method. So what this render method will do, this render method, when this component is being used in your application, this render method will return this particular HTML structure. That's it. So this is a sample component which is being implemented using the JavaScript class. Okay. So what is state? So state is nothing but here you can give the data whatever you want to render in that particular component. So as I discussed about the Facebook like button. So let me consider that I will have a like variable over here, count variable over here, and here this count variable will be there, and that count variable I'll be returning in this HTML structure, right? There I can use that count variable to update it in the HTML structure or the DOM. So if you see, the render method is responsible for how the user interface looks and feels to the user. Yeah, this is nothing but, as I told, like this will give you the HTML structure. So this is where you like looks and feels good, right? The HTML things comes into picture over here. Next thing, what is state? So if you see, state is nothing but state of a component is an object that holds some data. Yeah, state is nothing but it is holding some data of your component. Consider that if in Instagram there is a profile description component. So for the profile description component, what are the things you need? You need the name of the profile and you need the description of the profile. And if you see in the Instagram, if you are giving some website link or whatever link, that will be displayed. So if you see, you need three things, which is name of the profile, and the username or description of the profile. So these three things are there. So this will be maintained under a state. So the state will hold the all the data. And if you see, this data influences the output of the component. Yes, because if you see, the name will be there and the profile username will be there and the description will be there. So this will mm, rendered on your view component. With help of this value, you will be binding it to the UI to make sure that your data is influenced in the component. Okay, here I have put some sample example. If you see, the state holds the component that renders on the web app. If you see here, I have just put a simple thing which is car and bike. So I have just put the CC over here. If you see, like in the state variable, I have car the CC value and the bike CC value. And if you see in the HTML structure, in the first heading H1, if I'm displaying the 1600 CC, and in the second one I'm displaying the 150 CC. So which is nothing but your state value is being the data is being binded to the UI. So this is simple state. The state is nothing but it holds the data that a component renders on the web app. Okay. So if you see, this is how we access the state properties. So the state properties can be accessed by this operator. So you can just access the state property by using this dot state dot car, because this, if you see, the state should be created in the object format only. So that object will hold the entire data, the entire components data should be holded by an object, entire components data. So if you see here, like I have created an object, state object, and like I'm just fetching the state object here to make sure to render our data values on the component UI. Okay, so now props. So why props is used? Consider that props is nothing but it is allowed to pass the arguments for data to components. So it's nothing but, consider that like I have created a profile component, and consider that I have another component which is story component. So like, okay, like let's go into the other example, which is search. Consider that there's a search component and there is a post component. So if you see, consider that I want to search a particular post which I have posted in the Instagram with name uh, web application. Consider that I have posted some picture in the Instagram, like by quoting it as web application. Consider that I want to search that web application. So if you see here, the search is a different component and this post is a different component. But in the search component, if I type web list, then I have to pass the web list data to my post list component, and in there only I can perform the search operation, like particular filtering I can do over there. So in this case, if you see, I have to pass the value whatever I'm typing in the search button from that component to the post component. So there the props comes into picture. If you wanted to pass data from one component to another component, then you can pass it via props. Props is nothing but properties. So it allows us to pass argument or data to the components. If you see, props are passed to components in the way similar to that of the HTML tag attributes. Yeah, you can pass in the HTML tag attributes itself. Let us see like how we are passing. If you see, this is app.js, and if you see, this is main.js. Consider that like I wanted to uh, pass If you see here, like I have called this app component over here, and I have passed, you can just pass it, you can just pass it like HTML tag attributes itself. I have passed here car prop equal to 1600 cc and bike prop equal to 1150 cc. If you see, like I am like taking it in the app component, and I'm just straight away displaying it like this dot props dot car prop, this dot props dot bike prop. So this is a simple thing like where I'm passing the a property from one component to the other component, which is nothing but from main component to the app component. So this is how we access the properties passed to the component. If you see, yeah, what is the React prerequisites? Yeah, like you should be familiar, like before going to React, like what are the things you need to learn. So you should be very much familiar with the programming concepts like functions, objects, arrays, and to a lesser extent classes. Because if you see, like you can create a React component with function component itself, but you can also create with class component as well. Like let us discuss those things in the upcoming sessions. Yeah, so you should have a basic knowledge of JavaScript, and you should have some familiarity with the HTML. So you have, these are the basic requisites whichever you need to know. Okay, so what is the industry trends? See, if you see, the React developers earn more money when compared to other web development technologies. If you see, the React is currently in trending. There is a lot of demand for the React developers when compared to the other developers. If you see, the average salary for a React developer in the United States is, which is nothing but $91,000 per year, which is very simple. Like it is easily equal to nearly more than 70 lakhs according to Indian money. If you see, this is the basic salary which React JS developers is earning. And if you see, in India, the average salary for skilled React JS developer is 7,25,000 per year. You can easily, a React JS developer will be earning 7,25,000 per year in India. So if you see, the React is gaining popularity, and if you see, it is being adopted by many companies. So there is a huge demand for the React. So if you see, I have put a difference between like React, Angular, and Vue. If you see, the React, it has been going more trending when compared to the Angular and the Vue. So which means that the React is current trending technology. As you see, the React is the most popular library for building user interface. Hence, there is a fantastic career opportunity for everyone who is coming into React. So I will suggest that learn React, play with React, and you get good money by earning by building applications in React. And if you see, as I told, React is used by many companies, big companies and startups. Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Dropbox, and New York Times. So these are the like big top companies where it is React is used. And yeah, thank you for this time. So that's all about the basic React JS introductions. Like I want to talk about this. Yeah. So thank you all.